Well, so, maybe we should get the permission so that if we wanted to promote, we can.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
OSU is really strict about this.
Yeah, the consent forms.
Right,
and
right.
that.
So would that be okay if we use some of the clips that we recorded today to be like a social media, LinkedIn, something like that? Would that be okay? All right, thank you.
Promise
Probably more so like what our presentation part, but then if you have some questions, of course, that might be. So this camera here detects where they speak, apparently it moves around, so unless you don't wanna show your face, then you can do this. But that's kind of cool. It is cool. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's
Sorry, I didn't have lunch.
Oh,
I also have driving, so that.
Do you want to grab something really quick before your?
Okay.
I'm curious. Yes, please eat.
Yeah. It's okay, I ate
It's
some.
going to be,
No, that's okay, I do, that's fine.
okay,
But probably I'd like to drink some
tea.
cold tea or cold water. Do you have like,
so this is my favorite clear water.
It's,
I just got it from the.
oh, is this tap water?
From over there.
It's clean.
I hope so, it's even water first.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Baker's water.
Baker water,
In city water, right? This. It's our first try, so. This work in progress, if something is not right, because it's first time, so you tell us how we can improve, so. Thank you.
Yes.
it's pretty warm in the room, I agree.
Yeah. Do you wanna wait a few more minutes or just you can start right on?
I can.
So, Andy said he might be a little bit late. Yeah. But we should definitely. But. 6.
Maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, not quite 5, but let me, is everything is ready for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me check. Might start. Here. You don't need this chair, right? Trying to say, so next time we need to have like a sign out there. TikTok.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting the flyer from downstairs up to the door or something.
Okay.
And then we have a flyer right here.
And we can, so, put it over there or something,
Yeah.
but it's okay. First time.
how far along Japanese are you guys?
This is only my first class.
Oh, wow,
I'm first year.
very good, very good. No, you guys.
I'm studying Japanese, but I know.
She's a PhD.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
History.
yeah, that's great. Yes.
Yonense, okay. Are you ready to graduate soon?
I think so, but I'm not fluent in Japanese yet. I can understand people speaking in Japanese in academic settings, and I can speak in Japanese, but not.
Hello, welcome. Come on, have some tea.
So have you been to overseas,
No, but I think I'm going this summer.
summer, which one?
To go to Jubilee.
Choose, yeah,
And I'd also like to do the author program too.
okay. Yeah, I'm somewhat involved, my advisor is Christopher. And he taught last year in, Iran class, so. So. See, if they're coming, do you wanna leave it open until people?
Yeah, when they come, I can still serve tea and then talk about.
I see.
Yeah, so.
Okay,
Let's
so
stay
then
on
let's, let's start, and then how, do you want to change this to?
No.
Okay, well, all right, well, this is your setting, so I guess I leave it this.
Oh, it's all good. All
All
right.
right, so we have more people today, but I just, if somebody coming, I'll just check, as they come, and then, the first presenter is, Ruth, so, please go ahead.
Yes,
So,
thank you. Thank you very much. Just introduction, and I'm going to, my name is Ruth, and I'm currently working as staff on campus, but also originally from China. So this is something that's that I grew up seeing all the time, but I didn't have an appreciation for tea until I became a cultural exchange student to the US. Was placed in Circleville, Ohio. So I stayed with a wonderful host family there, and then I applied for colleges. But when I went back to China, the first thing I had was a cup of warm tea. And when I arrived home, when I tasted that tea that my mom poured me, I just felt like, oh, I am home. This is a drink of comfort and a drink of lots of memories and a drink of warmth and family. So these are the ties that I grew up with. But at the same time, as I learned more about this ceremonial process, I developed more appreciation of this traditional art and what this brought us in the mental sense and physical sense. So today I'm going to present to you a ceremonial tea that's prepared by the purple clay teapots. The purple clay teapots were made from my dad's hometown, which is very similar geographically to Athens, Ohio. A while ago, I went to the ridges and I saw a pot that's just so familiar with. I saw each purple clay teapot being displayed in the Ridges Museum. I had no idea, but thinking about the geography, that is very mountainous over there, and also it has really rich soil and clay. The very intelligent crafts people, they invented this kind of purple clay in the 1700s through the 1900s. And the emperor discovered this pot, was really interested, made several trips to my dad's hometown and populated in the East Asian region as well. So it became a very popular collective among the Asian community, especially in the Taiwan, Hong Kong, and maybe in some of the East Asian countries, including Japan. So let's go ahead and get started before the water gets cold. So, 今天我为大家用
Sorry, do you want to hit record?
It's a recording.
Recording?
Yeah, thanks. So, 今天我为大家表演用离心紫砂壶冲泡青红茶的茶表演，请欣赏。Today I'm going to present to you using 一星 purple plating heat to brew the 一星 black tea recently. Just that. Thank you.
Do we need to, like, is there a way that we should respond to that?
Sure. I mean, I've.
Should I say something?
No.
Okay. I'd like to learn, so.
But thank you for asking. That's a good question. So these are sense smelling cups. So I learned it from a local technical school. So it's a vocational school open to all citizens, to Chinese citizens, to help them build a career once they graduate. So I went to that training school and learned these techniques with a lot of other students. So these are the techniques that I learned. They might have special meanings, maybe not, but these are the techniques that I learned. So as you can see a lot of tea wares on here, but each tea ware has its own functionalities. The first step we'll do is to warm up the cups, and as well as to sterilize them. And in the background, you can hear the music that's played by the most ancient instrument, qin. It has only 4 strings on there, but it has kind of a vibe of a person is talking to, having a conversation. So this qin was originated 2,500 years ago, and has been played by a lot of parties when they were trying to create their piece. The Buddha is entering the palace. So this is red tea going into the tea pot. 出换仙言 to awaken the tea leaves as well as to cleanse. The waterfall is coming out from the mountain. 春风拂面 The wind of the spring is breezing against the place. The dragon is coming out of the sea. You can see the dragon and the color of the tea and the fairness cup. So this is called the fairness cup. It's making sure that everybody gets a fair amount of tea. And then you can see the first brew is kind of orangey. So it's supposed to be less strong than the second brew. And that's why in our culture we call it red tea instead of black tea. 欢呼寻成 these are based on ancient folk stories, and a general going around the city, making sure everybody's safe. 龙凤呈祥, the dragon and the phoenixes are stretching their wings. 鲤鱼翻身. It's based on the legendary story where a carp went over a very highly ranked door, so it became a dragon afterwards. Is that we have 5 here. Is the journey. I think the best way for me to serve is I think I'm okay, thank you.
All right, so
You go around here.
along with the wonderful tea, there's a Japanese sweet treats, and you get to pick. So here's some tea. Which one would you like to pick? If you can read something on the Japanese, by all means, but it's just like a probably bean paste sweet, and it's a baked, so it's nothing raw or uncooked, so.
Please do this again.
Yeah, oh, there's a place, so here, this one is a matcha, the green one is. Other one is soda, so maybe it was like some wheat. Yes. But it's all sweet.
Yes.
So you can taste.
Yes, so it's still, we will do some instructions on.
Okay, so I need instruction how to drink. Oh.
Very good.
So yes, I like to know how to.
All right. So if you're studying physics, you know it's the air pressure that's keeping everything in the sense-smelling cup. So our goal for this drinking experience is to get the tea into this tea tasting cup, which is the cup that's holding the tea smelling cup, the shorter cup, and without spilling the tea. So what I would do is I run an inner circle inside of this tea tasting cup, and then I go around the rim to make sure there's no remaining liquid that's remaining. So, and then afterwards, smell the tea. All right.
So lift it up.
Lift it up. Wow, you guys are doing great. None of you are spilling any tea.
Do you enjoy the sound?
Yes, you can.
And then
You
you
smell
smell
it.
it.
What do you say?
Say itadakimasu is for receiving.
So this is without any sugar or cream.
Oh, wow.
And this is
Sweet.
Yes, oh, you like it? You can taste the scent, very good. Yeah, so yeah, that's the tea I drink a lot,
Okay,
so.
and then.
And this just goes on and on and on and on.
So the second cup, if I want another cup.
You can just, yeah, I can just,
And then,
there's not a lot of rules.
okay, then I don't need to smell again. Drink.
Yeah, you can still smell it if you want it.
The reason I'm asking is because the Japanese tea ceremony, I don't know if anybody's seen it, is very, very formal.
Really?
Very, very formal, and then every movement you do, there's a rules
Yes,
and meanings and
Yes.
order. If you scoot up, then your master will be like really mad at me, so. That's why I'm just so nervous that, okay, what do I do, right?
makes sense. My term routine.
Yeah. So, and embarrassingly enough that I'm born and raised in Japan, but I never took the class. You have to take the class. Because like he said, the Japanese tea ceremony, it's so complicated, you have to just go out learning, you have to take the class. And my sister did a tea with Sato, tea ceremony class that she was in. But I wasn't, so I don't know. But believe me, I'm rude.
But you have done a lot of trainings across the US for.
Those are, yeah, I'm eating, this is big unknown. That would be, casual drinking. At home green tea. Maybe I will do that next some other time. Now, green tea.
Yes,
So what's the difference between your tea you're serving right now versus like oolong tea that Japanese drink a lot,
yeah,
or jasmine tea that I'm familiar with?
yeah.
What's the difference?
So this is fully fermented in the black tea category, but oolong is semi-fermented and green tea, the jasmine tea, blended with green tea is not fermented.
Fermented, okay.
So, yeah. And this second brew is much stronger, so if you guys want to have some strong tea in the afternoon.
Yes.
Okay, it's caffeinated, but it's much less than coffee. You don't need to worry too much about it. It's still a very small amount.
It's so funny that today, my professor, today was the day that my professor decided to tell us all that this is happening, because today I made tea. Yamamoto,
Yamamoto Yama?
yeah, tea, and I like it
It's
a lot.
a hojicha? Hojicha?
I think green tea,
Green tea, okay.
yeah.
There's another one, the green tea is not fermented at all. Well, I think, but it's basically not, and not oxidated, that's why it's green. But if you roast them, they turn brown. Oh, it's brown tea, people call brown tea, but it's called hojicha. Sometimes if you go to Japan, you go to Starbucks, they localize their, tea. So it's a hojicha latte, it's like a matcha latte, it's so good.
Yeah,
Even my husband is American, but he likes hojicha latte, so.
Sounds really good. Every time I go to a dim sum restaurant, I always have a really strong urge to ask what type of tea they have, and then they just say like, oh, it's just tea. But I never know if it's like oolong tea or something else, but I will drink whole cups of it. Like I will literally drink almost the whole teapot because it's so good.
Yeah, the question, so this is a ceremonial tea though, but at home, do you use this small cup to drink like this? Or you use like a big cup like American?
yeah, it's slightly bigger because, it's for practical
Right.
reasons, but this is called Kung Fu tea, so the purpose of it is for small cups is for the heat to evaporate as soon as the tea is poured into the cup. And also it enhances it increases the interaction between the host and the guest. So every time you finish, I have to serve you more, so there's more iterations.
Communication.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
and it's just sweet, really
Oh.
sweet. Can I buy this tea?
I will give you
Yeah, so
those teas. but
seriously, where do you resource your tea?
My
Because-
parents.
Okay, so you cannot buy the same one in here?
No, I know there are a few websites that I can go to, but I've never tried. I don't know how quality, but
Yeah.
yeah. I can get you some, yeah, next time I go
Yes,
back.
my mother's hometown is green teas, like famous for the high quality green tea. So I only get it from home. I don't buy, sorry, Yamamoto, but that's a tea bag, but you know, then, okay, I can get the bag to me, right? Right, so I will do that, but same thing for you, maybe. Oh, somebody. Oh, maybe you know how to get a good tea, so you wouldn't buy it from Amazon. Okay.
Yeah, there are some good Amazon teas,
Mhm.
but really, it's hard to get good loose leaf teas. Also, the quality of tea depends on every year, how the rain is, how the soil is coping. So it depends on the environment, yes.
Another question.
Yes.
Are there any foods, like smaller foods that people typically have with tea in your hometown that are like specifically local, like if there are certain plants or vegetables that are specific to your hometown that people typically eat with tea?
Yes, very good question. China sucks at producing desserts. So a lot of times it's seasonal fruits, like lychee and some, it's other kinds like peapod, those, seasonal fruit, that just, I think in the equivalence of pawpaw, like it would just, the expiration, it's not sold in stores because the expiration date is so short and they can't even put on shelves. Those kind of fruits that are really popular in family settings. But if you go to a really like formal settings, they will serve usually with a meal. I actually have a presentation, but I don't think we have enough time to go through the slides, but I can show you some of the pictures of my family. Oh, okay, yeah, we have like 6 minutes for the so. All right, I have full slides. We're going to go through really quickly. So this is the history of China. They
Oh, boy.
claim,
History major.
yes, history major. Yes, so the question for all is, in which dynasties did Chinese tea ceremony occur most prevalently throughout Chinese history? So look at this chart, what do you think?
So as early as 2200
Before
BC
Christ, yes.
was recorded tea drinking. Right.
Correct. Ceremonial tea, which dynasties do you think?
Maybe
Ming, very good. Very
Yes.
good. That's one of them.
Maybe southern and northern dynasties.
Why do you say so?
It just sounds like
Oh,
people came from the north.
Namukjo.
Yeah, good
Um,
guess.
Oh, Three Kingdom. Well, those are like wartime, right? So Han.
Mm-hmm. Very good guesses. Okay, I'm going to reveal the answers.
The answer,
because-
okay.
All right, so the ones who are bolded are when the ceremonial teas were most popular. And you can kind of see why, because these dynasties were longer, so they have a longer period of stability. So people have the leisure to invent techniques and to enjoy tea when there's peace and there's time of leisure to engage in these kind of activities.
So it is, you mentioned that's a leisure, so the tea ceremony is a leisure for Chinese culture?
It used to be enjoyed by the emperors or the aristocrats, yes.
Interesting, because, sorry, I have to compare with what I know in Japanese culture. The Japanese tea was developed by samurai for not really a leisure, but, well, it's kind of leisure for them, but it's more like signifying the time they're fighting a war, they go and die, basically
Yeah.
soon. So they wanted to enjoy the moment while they're, alive, to enjoy the moment.
Of course,
So that's a little bit different from China, the wealthy aristocrat just sitting around and do things,
right.
than what I know about the Japanese tea ceremony is.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think that's basically how people in the ancient times, they would enjoy tea because it gives you a sense of refreshment. You feel good. And that's how the legendary person who's called Shengnong, he's the it was in the legend that he had a transparent stomach, and then he tried different medicine, and then later on he found that tea actually has medicinal. Hi, have a seat.
Yeah.
All right. So let's
Well, going to too much.
we're going into too much of the ceremonial tea details. We can talk more next time, but yeah, it's at 3:30. I think this is
To.
Well, I certainly feel
It's Dr. Andy.
Oh, good.
He's my another advisor.
Yes.
Do
you like
Japanese tea? Department.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you like strong tea?
I do like strong
Oh, okay,
tea.
good. All right.
You get to pick. It's your name.
And should I say, is it? Is that so?
Yes,
Akisa-san.
どういたしまして。
Okay,
Somehow we need to Japanese things.
it's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
In the Japanese tea ceremony, do they have like snacks and foods, or is it?
Yes,
strictly
so
tea?
the Japanese tea ceremony, like I mentioned, it's very strict
Yeah.
formality. They serve sweets before drinking tea. And you can't go back and forth eating a drink. You have to eat all this sweet thing first, and then you can enjoy the tea afterwards. So, but this is not that, so you can eat and, however you wanted to do this. So here you go. And maybe the Ruth can explain how to drink this. This is a special.
And I'm feeling a little nervous.
You're an engineer, you can do it. There. Yes.
Great.
All right, now let's welcome
Okay.
soon Dr.
Oh.
Akisa,
Okay.
to talk about really fascinating.
Yeah, so we kind of have to switch gear because this is a relaxed time. So please enjoy with the relaxing tea, but my part is talking about a little bit of my introduction. So first of all, this Tea Talk series is we kind of learned we met at the working shop, the writing PhD working writing shop, and then we found out we have a common, common interest about the Asian culture. And also we're immigrant, we're from old country, but then trying to be successful in United States. So we have very similar background, similar interests about how we navigating this American culture with our historical cultural background. And then both of us female, the women. And so we got together, maybe we should have some kind of dialogue, some kind of platform that to discuss. More like an outlet for ourselves. And also she has a great skill of doing a tea ceremony. And of course, I shouldn't say of course, but I love baseball. I'm athletic and then I like playing baseball. So I'm a PhD student. I taught Japanese last semester, but mainly I'm here to get my PhD. And in sports, particularly baseball and women's baseball, because I've been playing baseball over 30 years, and traditionally the baseball is a men's sports. So same thing for United States, same thing in Japan. So I always felt like, why? So anyway, so long story short, my passion of searching those answers brought me to PhD. And then he's the professor, he's guiding me and students. So anyway, so let me start with introduce why I'm doing this. And then probably using the, go back, can you go back? Sorry. So this is, the slide I'm using is I made it for other Japanese culture presentation, so it may not exactly fit, but I'm using as a guide to explain how my journey is. And then this little, that's a girl, okay? That's me, probably 2 or 3 years old. And look at what she's wearing. She's wearing kimono with a baseball bat as a samurai sword on my belt. So this explains everything. So that's who I'm sure my parents dressed me like this because I want to do this, right? So that's, just keep that in mind, and then that's just who I am. So please go next. So the problem for me is that I just cannot, in Japanese culture, if you two study Japanese, there's a certain cultural status quo that you have to follow if you're growing up in old cultural society. And I just couldn't, at some point I couldn't take it. So that's why I came to the United States, but this is more about that. So I was born and raised in Japan, but so this cultural status quo is difficult to follow. So ultimately, I decided to come to the United States and for the better opportunities to pursue my dream, which is more advocate for women's baseball. So those are the points that I'm going to go through. So how I'm going to grow up and then getting a job as a woman. And how's that lifestyle of women in Japanese corporation, and then how I decided to leave the country and whatnot. So next slide, please. So this is a picture of my family in New Year's Day photo. We wear traditional Japanese kimono. The younger one is me. I have an older sister, my parents. So that is in around 1970s. So I was a tomboy as I growing up. And so I always tried to kind of challenge my gender stereotype, even when I was a little girl. So the dictionary definition of the tomboy is like a girl who exhibit characteristic of behaviors considered typical of a boy. Common characteristics include wearing a masculine clothing and engaging in games and activities that are physically in nature and considered in some culture to be unfeminine or more domain for boys. So like a baseball, right? So I'm just fit right into the dictionary characters. So my neighbor lady called me like she will leave the home. I was kind of a rambunctious kid, and with the givabo and the kaembi, I will explain what that means. And playing baseball with boys, that's just normal life for me. And I like athletic competition. I was basketball player, swimming, field and track, and all those things I grew up doing. But at the same time, though, my parents want me to be a traditional Japanese girl. So teaching art, learning art, calligraphy, piano lessons and stuff like that. I was basically, my parents made me to do so. And of course, the Asian parents, what do they want? Academic achievement, right? So that's what the heavy pressure on Asian parents that putting pressure on the kids do well at school. And I might probably have some natural leadership type of personality, so that I tend to do a class president type of thing all the time when I was a kid. So what is the time in Japan, 1960s and 70s in Japan was very heavily, there's a students' protest was happening all the time. And definitely that's before you guys' time, but so around that time, it's common, I think it's similar in the US though, there's a lot of anti-Vietnam War, a lot of left-wing liberal students are more like protesting, sometimes get really violent. For example, Gebapo is like wood sticks, and cayenne bean is a Molotov cocktail. So those are homemade weapons students. Those are college students like you guys' age. You know, with all this stick, and then this is not a beer bottle. This is the homemade bomb. And then including the girls, see, not just the boys and girls in college. They are just marching, and those are the time I was growing up as a little girl. So my neighbor referred to me, I will be one of those girls that with baseball bat and everything else. So yes, that's
What were they protesting?
good question. What do you think that is?
The US military bases?
Yes, that's one of the things, but also anti-authority. After the World War II, there's a lot of things has been changed, and then in the case of Japan, there's a lot of for example, student governing in a university, there's a top-down pressure to do this and do that. So a lot of students are protesting basically anti-authority. And also that's around the time in Vietnam War, and a lot of so the US military base occupied, in Japan was very active. So those are the people, the Americans wants to build a base and take up the Japanese land, and people protesting like that too. So those are the unsettled era, not just Japan, but United States, but also in the world too. So anyhow, so those are the time that my neighbor referred to who I would be when I grown up. So hopefully that was wrong. So moving forward. So, and then, so I'm always passionate about the baseball. So when I went to college, my undergrad was linguistic, but the college, there was no women's baseball team. So I made one and took the team to a friendship game to then Soviet Union. So back then, 1991, before the revolution. So it was like a still communist country. But far east side of Soviet Union is very close to Japan geographically. So it's only 2 hours flight from Niigata airport to go. And then so there was an exchange program of sending a Japanese baseball team to make opportunity for Russian college students to play, because baseball is just about to become Olympic sports. So who wants a gold medal? Russians. They want to train Russian students, but they don't have anybody else. But there's a Japanese. So we were kind of like arranged to go there. And then I took the opportunity to took my girls team and the boys team together and play games. So that was such an interesting moment, so that you can see the statue. Do you know who that would that be? The guy there.
Lenin.
Yes, Lenin,
Yes.
statue, and then he.
portrait up there as well, his portrait.
Yes, so the portrait is too, so underneath, those are the department head of the like health sports department of in local government and tend to be former Olympic player, medalists and stuff. So they're like formally hosted us to just meet, and that was very, that's me.
What else? Amazing.
So
You're
look-
like.
So I was like, not giving a finger. So it's just
Yeah, present.
proudly, yeah, this
Yeah.
is my index finger. Okay. And this is Amu River. There's a river. It was a really surreal time. I had a great time. And then we had a banquet and at the end of the trip, and we just mingle with the Russian students, and our students are a good time with them. So it's a language school, college. So some of the students study Russian, so that they can be the translator for us. And then we had a great time. So anyway, so when I did that, I just thought that this is kind of like a calling for me, that I just love doing this, using a baseball to be engaging more international friendship or, stuff like that. So cultural exchange. So that stayed with me for a long time. So that was a fun time in college, but then I need to get a job. So getting a job as a woman in Japan was, to me, it was really difficult because of the gender discrimination, and the hiring process is totally discriminated. So men's path and women's path are different. So men are all hired to be a future management position, managerial position, but women are, they give you Sogoshoku track, which is same as men's path. So, but very, very few opportunities. But the majority is called the Ippanshoku, which is the general position, would be just doing the admin supportive work for a few years, a short time, and then they're assuming that we'll all get married and then leave the workforce. So that was the expectation, and there's some statistics. In 2019, only 11% of managers in Japan, Japanese company, and only 5% of the board members are women. Compared to 43% managers in the United States and such. So we're really behind and still behind. So please go. So my first job was this. I managed to be hired to a place called the Japan Research Institute. And this is a think tank for Japanese big bank. Very prestigious, but then once you start going there, the discrimination was terrible. I can explain how that is. So employers have a different treatment for female employees. And for example, only women required to wear company uniform. So, which means that you have to go there earlier than men. And then you have a locker room and you change to that, almost like a schoolgirl attire, and until you finish work and then go home, change and go home. Women are required to wipe and clean everybody's desk, but men has a task to take a trash out. So there's a gender task, like a chores assigned to do so. And no corporate housing given for women. So the long commute are required. So I have a friend that commute 3 hours each day, every day, to go to school, not school, work. But they don't give her apartment, but they give the boys for apartment, the guys apartment, because women are not supposed to live alone, young women. So stuff like that. And the government, not government, the corporation think that women's job is called a koshikake. This is an old Japanese term, a temp job while you're waiting for something else. So this is even old ancient time, Edo period term. So also there's a very demeaning comments daily basis from your supervisor. For example, there's so the bank is a parent company. Those are around the time that Japanese government, the corporation, the banks are having a lot of debt. So it's all over the Japanese newspaper. So my boss came in and tried to explain why our company, parent company, was a headline on a newspaper, Nikkei newspaper. And he said, well, this room has a lot of women in it, so you may not read the newspaper today, but so I was like, what? We read newspaper, right? But that's what yes. But imagine you go to work and your boss is telling you, oh, you guys, well, women don't read the newspaper, but this is what happened. So it's to me, I couldn't take it. A lot of women, but my colleagues is okay, apparently, but I couldn't. So okay, so the last straw was only women were interviewed by the management every 3 months to check on their plans for either marriage or pregnancies. And when that interview happened, I said, well, I'm quit. I'm gonna quit. So anyway, so next slide, please. So those things happen. So the gender specific role and expectation limit women to live with their full potentials. So that was just unbearable for me and in Japan. So the many of my female classmates, even from that college, and workmates followed. This is a view that's just pretty basic operation principle of Japanese culture, which is basically cultural status quo. The women's supposed to do this, men's supposed to do this. This is, so our settle is to do everything what other people do. That's just the typical Japanese cultural tradition. Shogunai is, well, this is the way it is for women. So they just learn how to live with those, frustrations and inequality. And women's focus is their married life and having the children. So I left the company and came to America to pursue my dream is I want to learn sports management. So OU sports management, the graduate school here accepted me. Yay. So I wanted to be in that profession to be advocate for women's baseball. So what happened? So I was accepted at OU 1994, probably before you guys were born. So that's how old I am. But I studied at OU, came to Athens, fun. And 1995, this is a short program, so a little over a year, I was able to get a master's degree. And my internship was with the Colorado Silver Bullets, which is then only women's professional baseball team existed in the United States. So I was able to do the internship there. So that was pretty exciting, a highlight of my life. And then moving forward, I got other jobs, real job, and I actually had my own MBA afterwards in different school and being in a different business, marketing and nonprofit. I did a lot of different jobs, but anyway, so I started organizing Columbus Women's Baseball League, which was a adult recreational women's baseball team. Mainly because I wanted to play baseball, but then there's no other team. Just like in my college, I have to start my own team. So I started 2008 for 8 years, and I managed to have 2 teams and play each other when the the heyday of my league. And then it folded in 8 years later. And then the year after, I decided to join Boston Red Sox women's fantasy camp, which is first major league, first or second Major League Baseball team has a women's specific fantasy camp. Fantasy camp is anybody who pay for it, you can go and play baseball in their field. So I play in the family park. If you know baseball, that's just like I don't know, it's a holy place for baseball player to play. So which is cool. So this is a picture from there. This are all women playing baseball lined up like that on the family park. That's just a beautiful thing to see. And against the other campers team. So this is actually a first time in 105 years history of family park. We are the first women versus women baseball team on the family park. So I pitched 2 innings and I got 2 strikeouts. So I should be in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, nobody cares. So well, I will make it work someday. Anyway, so and then 2000, that was 2017, 2018, I became official technical commissioner for Women's Baseball World Cup, which was the first time held in United States. So there's a women's baseball World Cup exist. Okay, so the Team America and Team Japan, whatnot. So there's 12 teams that are competing, but I was a team official there, which is a very good experience. And then 2020, somebody found out I play baseball and then I had a league of my own during this time. So somebody thought that was cool. So they interviewed me and then they put in a story. So a book called A Little America, which is right here. And my story as a Japanese immigrant coming from Japan in Ohio doing baseball. So this became one of the stories. So I was super excited. And then later, this story was bought by Apple TV. And then actually they actually produced a Hollywood TV show based on my story. It's called same thing, Little America, and it's season 2, episode 6. So if you have Apple TV, please Google, look for it and then watch. It's only 30 minutes. So it's a dramatized version of my baseball team and my life. So
It's amazing.
yeah, so anyhow, so if I stay in Japan, is that the company? Do you think I accomplished this? I don't know yet because, I wasn't there, I moved, but then, to me, everything was possible because I made a decision to come to US and make my dream. So the last plug-in is that now I'm in OU PhD program. What do? I make a team. So this is started, I created, so I returned to OU PhD program in 2021. At the same time, I created this new team called Cherry Bomb. And those are my players. And so 2024, so 3 years later, 2 years, well, almost like 3 years later, that this team became official club team. So if you look up the club team, so we are listed as Cherry Bombs are listed as OU club team. And then this is the first game, this March, we went to Cincinnati and we played a game against Miami. Miami has actually a club baseball women's team too. So we beat them 5-3. So first things done that we need to do, beat the Miami. So yeah, so those girls are practicing every Thursday. Walter Field House, we have a baseball practices. So we're doing that and we were just looking for another opportunity to play game or scrimmage or what have you, but keep going because this is what I do. And I think it's a really good opportunity for OU students, the female students, that it's a traditionally male sport, but we can do it as you see. I've been doing it for 30 years. And then they should know they can do it. And it's not the matter of physically or technically that women cannot do. The Little League baseball is played by a 12-year-old kid. We can do this, right? So it's just that psychologically we're not feeling like we're not allowed to play baseball. No, you don't have to shoot softball or something else. If you like to play baseball, here you go, there's an opportunity. So I like to present opportunity for them, at least they can choose. So that's currently my mission is. At the same time, I'm trying to get my PhD, so that's my, do you wanna go to the question right after, or do you?
Yeah, that's the
Okay,
question.
so since I'm doing it right now, I'm talking to you right now, so if anybody has a question, anything I talked about Japanese tradition or anything else? Yes.
And how do you feel about women who are thinking of like going to Japan? Do you think it's like, why are you going?
I see. If you are looking for a job like a career, it will be difficult. But I'm talking about as a Japanese woman born and raised there. If you are a foreigner with certain skills, like I say, teaching English to Japanese or, some other way, then, we're not talking about the same situation. But as a Japanese woman looking for a job in Japan, at least when I was there, it wasn't really open up. But right now, things that I heard and then I can feel things a little bit different because there's not enough workers, young people. As the Japanese society turned into more like older population, then they need people to work. So I think there will be an opportunity. And also because of the birth rates are low, we have to substitute by foreign workers to do the work. Then I'm hoping that those foreign workers mentality, not like Japanese old school gender issues, would be updated by those people who are coming in. So that could be good. So it may not be good, but if you go there and try to say, hey, and then change this, then by all means, please help us. So, yes.
So I've heard online that it's very difficult in Japan to quit your job. Like there are a lot of steps that you have to go through in order to quit. Is that what I have two parts to this question. Number one, is that the case for you when you quit your job? Was it difficult? Was there a lot of steps that you had to go through in order to quit?
So the 3 months checkups that I had, sit down with my boss. I told him that okay, you asking me this, I will tell you my plan is, I will quit, I'm going to America and then study about the baseball. You know what my boss said? That's like a stupidest thing I ever heard. My high school son would even say stuff like that. So that was his reaction. So I was like, oh, good. And then, but I was talking to him and because it's more like a life choice, right? And then turns out I must start asking him a question. What do you feel about working, place like this? And then basically you don't have a life. And it turns out that he is actually, his hobby is collecting or making little ocarina. Do you know what ocarina is?
Yeah.
The little thing. And he started talking about those. So I was like, why you don't follow your passion? Why, I start talking to him, like, I'm questioning him. And then he just kind of understood. Yes, so the steps are, I took an opportunity because they created this unprecedented, opportunity to say screw you, basically. So, but I think there's at will, in the United States, there's a basically agreement of employment is like at will, which is that both sides, your boss or your company or yourself, you just let them know when it doesn't work out, right? But in Japan, it's more like, once you work, you're supposed to serve that company rest of your life until you retire. So, it is kind of difficult if you're in that situation, then how are you going to break up with that kind of commitment, so.
Because, yeah, second part of my question was, I've heard a lot, from different groups online that in Japan, you have to basically write an apology letter for your resignation, and you have to tell everyone in your office, like, I'm sorry that I'm leaving and I'm putting this workload on you, and all of these things. So I'm wondering, as a woman, if the your existence in the company that was already a position that was just encased with discrimination on all sides, if that process of having to quit was not traumatic, but scary for you and very intimidating.
Probably for the most of the female employee there. But I wasn't one of the, probably I was tomboy, I just don't have that kind of fear. I'm more focusing on what do I want or what I don't wanna be. I can see in that company 5 years later what I'm doing there, because I can see the senior person who are working there 5 years before me, right? And looking at more, their lives are pretty miserable to me. And I cannot really feel the connection. They pay me really well, the salary was really good. But then I cannot find the purpose of why I'm spending so much time and hours. I worked there until 10 or 11 at night, going home, take a train home, next morning, wake up and then get on the same train. Like 6:30, 7 o'clock or something like that, you have to be there by, certain time, so. I start feeling like, in the morning, I'm just in the train, I was on this train just like a few hours ago. And just that kind of life keep going. And then just make you insane, like this is not right, and something is inside of me is dying, so I don't think I wanted to do this, at least not in that company. And when I ask around the people, it might be extreme, my company could be extreme, there's not that bad for other company, I don't know, but then it's just a social tradition, the cultural tradition that the women are married at a certain age and before 30, anytime between 24, 25. There's do you know there's a Christmas cake theories? Right? If you women are Christmas cake. Because nobody wants after 25, the December 25th. And people wanted to buy like a 22, 23. In December and 24, maybe, but then nobody wants the Christmas cake after 25th. So that's the Christmas cake theory for women's life, or the commonly talked about, so. If you pass that and then you're like, why you're not married? You're so old, stuff like that is just typical, expectations, so. That's what being said, who gave those pressures? Your parents, your relatives, your employers. They in the whole society is pressuring on you to be certain positions.
To conform these.
Yeah, so but the thing is, the Japanese cultural principle is one to go along with
Social
this, right? All the girls that I know basically on that same train. the boys and girls. I got off the train, so I can't go back in that train. So that would be a little bit tough for certain people. That, okay, you are ultimately not on the same train with anybody else. That could leave you certain sense of loss of identity as a Japanese, women, but I think I just jumped off and then I just never want to be back on. So I don't, now I'm talking to you in America as, in an opposite side of it. So, but I don't know if this kind of presentation, the story how the Japanese people will, hear about my story. So that's kind of curious, but
Just a comment, maybe for Dr. Ray. So I feel like there is a lot of radical moves that you have done, and you probably didn't realize that, but like looking back, and how much did you think you reinvented yourself? And were you comfortable in these kind of reinventions of your own identities?
That's interesting question because I do not know I reinvent. That's more like that's me from the get-go with that little girl with that samurai sword. That's probably, I forgot about it, but if I looked like that when I was 3 years old, that's me, you know what I mean? So there's a Japanese saying, I don't know, it's in a Chinese saying too, but the 3-year-old soul continue till 100 years old or something like that. There's a saying. So if you got something when you're little, basically that's who you are. Because you're not really thinking, what should I do to politically correct or anything like that. That's who you are naturally, right? When you were 2 or 3 years old. Natural talent. So that's, to me, I'm glad that my parents took that picture. That's basically who I am. But maybe what you tried to ask me is that and then probably the reason we're doing it, back to our tea talk scene, is that how much part of it is Japanese, because basically I left Japan, right? But I'm still Japanese. I'm still Japanese woman. I'm still love my country. I love my food and culture, and then I follow all that stuff. It's not like just because I moved physically to live here and didn't agree with a certain cultural, norm. It doesn't mean I don't deny myself to be not Japanese, be Japanese. So I don't know, that might be answer to your question, maybe.
Yes, I'm curious, I see that your parents, although they wanted you to grow up as a traditional Japanese woman, they still nurtured your passions, right? They allowed you to play baseball, they took a picture,
Yeah.
bag. So what was their reaction when you decided to move here and decided to?
So studying overseas is actually my mom's suggestion, because I was so unhappy in my commute and whatnot. And she liked the idea to send her child to America or overseas to get education. So, but I don't think my family wasn't wealthy, so I never have a chance to do that when I was in college. Some of my friends as exchange student, overseas experience as a university student, but I didn't have that opportunity. But then my mom actually told me, why don't you go to America and study or something? And by that time, it's like an MBA, getting an MBA is a really cool thing. So like such and such as kid went to, the company sent to America for MBA or something, so she kind of liked the idea, so she actually told me that she gave me money. You go to America, you know, you look unhappy, you go to America, here's the money. I was like, oh my God, Mom, you know, I don't know, I was just like, okay, and I have to kind of look around and see what do I wanted to do. But initially, she encouraged me, but she thought I will come back. That was a trick, so I stayed here, and then I met the guy at OU in Athens, and then, you know, I told my mom that, hey, you know, I have this guy, and then we were thinking to get married. Oh, she was so mad. Oh, she thought that, well, I gave, you know, money, and then she was, you know, just girl to me and my sister, so there's no son in my family, right? So she thought I was like her, you know, like a son, so I'm gonna go home and then take care of her. You know, that was like, my sister's already married to somebody in Japan, so she left the home. So I was the younger child that she was relying on, maybe she can, you know, I would take care of her or something like that. And then, sorry, Mom, I'm not coming home, so. Yeah, so that was a problem, so, but now, you know, as soon as they saw, my mom saw grandchild to her, you know, I know it's her demeanor is gonna change, so.
Did
I
it
was-
change?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was like, well, I had to study English, so I told me, you know, my son or grandson, so,
Sorry,
okay.
how many children do you have?
I have one son, he's actually studying OU this fall, so he's actually here. Yeah, so, yeah, so it's all come back to Athens, but, yes.
How did you come here to OU?
Good question. So I wanted to be a sports management major, and back in days, sports management was not a discipline that taught in Japan. Right now, there's a lot of college, it's a popular things to learn, but I have to come to US to study sports management. So I have a friend, my school friend, college friend, who play baseball with, her boyfriend was a student from Stanford, studying in my college. And he seems like a smart guy. So I asked him, well, can you help me pick a good sports management school in the US? So he did the research, and he gave me Ohio University, University of UMass, and University of Richmond, and something like that, one school in Florida, something like that. And then I sent all this application, and OU is the only one accepted me. So good for you, right? Yes, well, thank you for all your questions. So if anybody has any more, do you have some questions?
I was gonna ask the same question about the family response. I also thought about this comment you made about Fenway Park
Yes.
and how it was, you said anybody who's been to the park, it's kind of like a religious experience being in here. And it just made me think about women's role in baseball and you and that comment and about like, does the religious space have a special role in society? And if that is your religious space or baseball fans' religious space, does it also have a special kind of role in society? Are there certain actions you must take, certain dress code, behavior? And it's not really as much of a question, but that was in my head.
Yeah, because we're talking about the space.
Yeah.
The baseball is a space, and definitely anybody who likes baseball, like especially Americans, that how holy place that can be. There's like a, I don't know what to explain, it is a religious place, the Fenway Park. historic, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig kind of the heart and soul of American history was made there. The same park still exists. And it's a pristine dirt and grass was, maintained very professionally. And old, stands, and it's just a whole history, it's just going to very historical church, or that's just like a very, very humble experience to be there. And I visited a baseball winter meeting, which is like a lot of major league related people and minor league people discuss trade and stuff like that, and every winter time they happen. So I run into this guy, former MLB baseball player, real, professional guy. After he retired, he has the business of making cages, like a cage net for equipment, basically. So I actually ended up buying a net from him. But anyway, when I was talking to him, he was from Oakland Athletics. That's what he played there. I asked him, how do you play in Fenway? Because as a pro player, I'm sure he has experience. Oh no, I never played in Fenway Park. And I was like, yes, I'm not a major league baseball player, but I play at the Fenway, So even a major league baseball player, dedicated their life to be pro, they may not have a chance to play at the Fenway Park. So that's how special that place is. And how many Japanese men play at the Fenway Park? It's only like a handful. How many women? Probably zero. I'm probably the only Japanese woman actually play game, not just like there's a tour going on, so if you pay, you can go to the tour on the stand and whatnot, but going on the field or actually pitch from the mound, how many people do that, right? So to me, that's just like, that would be, no one can take that away from you. And I'm trying to brag about this tea talk ceremony, and then I play the Fenway Park, but it's not, see, in the big picture, I guess nobody cares. But it is a significant for us when the girls were there lined up. How many times you see the women line up and then have this hats, and then we're looking at the American flag. And national anthem was playing before the play. That's where we're doing this, the heart, the cap on the heart, and then the hands on the back. That's how you do when you're lined up and play for national anthem. So that's a special moment. American, women. Then can you find me? I am here. That's the scene. And there's nobody's on the stand, so those are like family members. But it's really cool. So definitely, I think so my dissertation is part of this, so the special space, the women's baseball, women playing a baseball, even if those cherry bombs girls, they are in a special place. Because there's no other place that women in this school to play baseball. Probably the first time in the history of how many, 1804? I think we're the first women's baseball club team in the history of, Why University. Nobody cares, no?
Have you still played baseball before, or it's
No, so good question, because nobody. Well, there's one girl in the back who she was a catcher, so she played softball. But none of us, well, besides me, play baseball. But they're athletic, they're track and field, they do swimmers, there are other, dancers, there's other sports that they play. But I taught them I coached them how to play baseball, studying to how to hold the baseball bat, how to hold the baseball. There's a certain way to do so. a day before of the game. And then we won, so I was so excited and some of them keep coming up. There's a one girl, Abby here. She's Japanese, she's from, those two girls are from my class, my student. And currently Abby is a club president and Beta, she is vice president. So they decided to step up to be a leadership, so I think I'm really happy. And hopefully I grow the team and then see they can continue, move on without me, because someday I'll leave here, hopefully someday. Then, they can just self-sustain to be, going on. So those are logos are designed by students, uniform. I made a uniform, but the logos are students doing it, so. It's a wholesome experience, so the sports management people, students are currently doing an internship with our team. So that I give them an opportunity to do sports management study, how to do the marketing plans and, making the flyers, and those opportunities are also available for students to do, so. I think
If you were to talk to your 3-year-old self, what would you say? You made it.
I don't think I ever think that I'm close to what I want it to be. It's just closer, but it's not I don't think my mission is not anywhere close to be accomplished. But if I see my 3-year-old, just well, say just don't worry about what other people will tell you along the way, including the parents, because they dress me like that, but then they try, because I was 3 years old, along the way they want me to be more traditional Japanese women, and so. Now I'm trying to undo what my parents taught me. That's just kind of hard for me. I have a son too, but parents are just people. They're not perfect. They project something to your life, something that they could do maybe, or they wish they could. Right? That's what the hope for parents, and not all of them are for you. You realize, going to high school, college, the parents want me to do this, but this is not really what I want to do. So I was raised to listen to your parents, listen to your adults, so I was raised to be, follow those guides. Now I wanted to not to listen to people anymore. And that's kind of really hard for me, and then maybe Bruce can relate to, but how this social pressure as a woman, not only women, but also Asian women, has this, we're talking about the intersectionality, and often talked about like African American with the gender, but not much talked about the gender and Asian women. So I think this is a very interesting opportunity for somebody's coming. Opportunity to think about how unique we are. Oh, this is my son. Oh, hello. About this. Yeah, so we're just talking about the entire your mother's life. Before that's
You missed the whole story.
So when he was little, I can see the vision. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, face. Anyway, so I just talking too much, so if anybody has any questions, yes.
Or kind of thought is there's the team in Japan, right? The Madonna team or the samurai women.
Yes.
That image of you as a child, as a young samurai woman, it's powerful.
Yes,
And
so the
samurai-
the connection there, right?
Yeah,
So what do you think that is? I'm trying to break it down right now.
well, I was gonna ask, the samurai women, is that only a term used for that baseball team in Japan, or is it a term that's used for women in Japan elsewhere?
This for the, so the Japanese men's national team stopped calling the samurai union. Because the samurai, they wanted to use it as a nickname for the national baseball team. So they Japan, so it's a samurai team, samurai union, right? And then the women's division wanted to basically ride on that fame of samurai Japan. But with the women, so we just added so that it can do things like women's division. But they named themselves, they picked the nickname of Madonna Japan. These are separate nicknames that they made up. So that is to me, instead of just accepting a subsidiary of the men's team, they wanted to have their own identity of Madonna Japan, the Japanese baseball team, as a national team. But interestingly, so the district of, like we're talking about, so the men's soccer team, we ball, the men just celebrates the ball, is picking up the jersey, right? And then sliding into the glass, which is the men's. So the women did that, and then they show the sports drama. I don't know if you remember those, pictures. But, so something like that, so we're talking about, so the symbol of, I lost train, what I was talking.
samurai Japan.
Okay, so if the Japanese women hit the symbol, right, when it hits, and they go to the first base, what they do is just go to the base, and some people, you see the men do this like fist up, or just like yay, or something like that, high five, or something with a coach. But the Japanese team Japan, women's player do this gesture like this, something like this. And then do this, which is like the samurai, like some kind of formation of swordmanship. And then just close that sword into the case. And they do that each time and then ask them, so what is that supposed to mean? And then some of the parents, the audience told me, oh, that's just like a samurai, the formation. And then every time, if you hit, that's the gesture that they do instead of hiking. And that means like that the women think that the players think they're some. They hit and then they're celebrating as a samurai. And just kill somebody, like that, right? And that's not the women's tradition. That's the samurai, which is men, do that. So as a female player in the field, which is that space, right, that we can perform, do this as what traditionally male Japanese samurai did. That's interesting. I have to figure out what does it mean. That's my PhD, okay? I don't have an answer. Please tell me what does it mean. But so that's the something that I'm tomboy. I'm a female girl dressed up kimono, but then somehow I have a baseball bat. Not only just holding a baseball bat, I'm wearing as a samurai suit. So this is like I can't create this word, maybe I should. This culture and gender. Japanese, intersection of this, right?
Yeah, and in the Chinese concept, the Mulan, the figure being there as a eldest daughter to represent her father to go into the war, it's very much portrayed as heroic, but it's kind of trying to amplify the masculine and the strength in the woman. But at the same time, yeah, I think a lot of other women who are not displaying those manly traits should be recognized, but they're less so in the history. Yeah.
So the Mulan, actually, I didn't watch the movie. Is Mulan, is act like a male?
Yeah, well, she basically went to the army and got trained, yeah, kind of like
Oh.
the other men, so she had to adapt a lot of,
Didn't she not pretend to be a man?
pretend to be
She
a man.
pretended to be a
Because
man.
if you're a woman, you're out of this, so she couldn't go.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's, for the baseball, Madonna girls, success, a hit and then go to the first base and do this is clearly she is pretend like man, like a mimicking of male behavior, right? So, yeah, that is, yeah, so that's why I'm talking about this soccer girl that who took off the shirt, and then that's typical male way of, celebrating the goal, so. I'm just curious, is there any other place besides outside of sports, any place that women does things, but traditionally men does, in like any other form?
In certain academic fields, like engineering, those kinds of things.
What, how does women roles, show us more like a men's tradition?
Like, why does it seem more like a men's?
Yeah.
I imagine because things like engineering or aerospace kind of stuff, like that was all military things, and women were the people at home taking care of the family. Women aren't supposed to use their hands, they're not supposed to know all these really difficult things. So those kinds of fields, I feel are more dominated by men.
Yeah, so the question is, so if the female student or female engineer did something and then, let's say, celebrate they launched Apollo or something in the space. And then after that, they sit and then smoke a cigar or something, okay? That's like a man does, right? Is a women engineer will do that? I'm just curious, that kind of thing that. Thank you so much.
This is wonderful.
Thank you. How women behave in a territory of what men used to do. And I guess my question is why women mimicking the male way of celebrating, even, women's soccer, women's baseball, you don't have to, we can find our way, our own way to celebrate, like do this like some kind of cheer cake or something, I don't know, but it's interesting that they,
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I guess it's the male, the dominance of white male has been in history forever, and
So is that because, so the women in that situation wanted to be a man? Like
Not
playing a
necessarily.
role of male. Because following that, footsteps, basically. This is how men's sports are played. So if women play that sports, just step in and do the same kind of tradition. And I'm just curious that why we do that.
And then there is another, remember this summer in the Olympics, the Algerian boxer who people perceived as looking like a male. And there was a whole lot of uproar because she was winning every match. And people were saying, why you're allowing a man to compete with women? And according to the Olympic Committee and herself, she is a woman. But she just happened to look like presenting. I'm not sure she's even trying, she's just like that. And many people were just so upset about her being there just by the way she looks.
Yeah, so those are like women's expectations from the society that how women should look like. So there's the other thing is that when they're talking about the ponytail, like the Title IX and all those things, then the women's athletics became popular. And there's a power of a ponytail, like women, with the athletic women, we don't play game with this, so we would just like have a ponytail or something like that. And then that's kind of like a movement for the ponytail, but when I started that women's team in Columbus, 2008, I created my own logo for the league, and then what should I do to make a logo? And then a lot of example, the softball, women's league and stuff like that. They all have this women with the silhouette of the girls hitting a ball with a ponytail coming out, right? And I just realized that's what the image that people want to have a women's team. But my hair was always short, so until more recently. And I never had a ponytail growing up. So for me to characterize women's team with the ponytail doesn't seem to be right, because there's women with short hair, right? So I created just a logo with the baseball and no human in there. But so the women, the society is so judgmental that they want women to look like a certain way, certain figure, and then expect that to be the fighting. So if somebody is outside of that look, they don't like it. They call all kinds of different names. And same things for, typically those are like a white, Caucasian, female would be, usually the standard.
Yeah.
If you don't look like, that, then you're not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I guess my experience in the Western society is it's more tolerant to have different types of beauty. I think from Asian standards, it's like you have to, like your skin has to be white or something like you have to be slim or something to fit the beauty model, but here.
In Asia?
I guess, yeah, in China, I guess.
Okay.
Growing up, there's certain ways
Right.
of seeing beauty.
Right, and then since it's not diverse as America, there's very small difference in between the Asian women,
Right.
So I think that we don't have much, used to seeing a diverse color of hair, face and height. And if you go to Japan, of course, they're all like yay tall and skinny, and then wear similar clothing, and then just also the same thing that since we're similar, ourselves would be look like or do like others or don't stand out is typically what we're kind of expected to do. Don't be like sore thumb or, like that. I don't know about in China, but in Japan, definitely. If you, just being quiet, do things the same as us. Is that the same in China too?
Yeah, and now I've been in America for long enough, when I go back, I have to switch to another mode of me, so when people talk, I just nod and, yeah. And if I have opinions, I keep it to myself, cause.
So do you go back to China and then completely able to switch
No,
to the old mode?
it's been difficult.
Yeah, so I can't because that's the whole reason I just left. I can't do this.
Right,
So
right.
it is the difficult, and then I just feel really sad and sorry for some Japanese women that I know they have different opinions or they have other, feelings, but they have to keep that and then, go on their life. It's just, sad.
Yeah.
And
But my takeaway from your presentation is you've been staying true to when you were little. And I think you pretty much had this determination in your eyes, looking into the future, that you want to be who you are. So, and that's the route that you have chosen, so. Pretty amazing.
So I don't know, people were telling me that I may not be able to go back ever to Japan to fit in the society, and that's probably true. So, like I said, culture like that might have to change from like outside force. I don't know if the Japanese culture or Japanese women organically able to come out of this tradition. Probably something dramatically like, who lost the war and then occupied or something like that, which happened. Or a lot of, outside, people coming in and start living in Japan and then see, okay, this is not, happening outside, so the Japanese government please change, because just last week, I think, United Nations published a report and sent a warning to Japanese government that Japan is so behind for the gender equality. The United Nations people. And then it's 100, like 64, 68 countries. Japan is 118th.
That could be in your introduction of your dissertation.
Thank you. Yes, probably, yeah, so.
So I'm kind of curious, and who's also in China, what's the situation with the rise of LGBTQ people in the country, given such as shift gender roles, society imposes?
Interesting, I don't know, I'm not expert on this topic, but interestingly, the Japanese culture is more open to gender fluid back in, so the kabuki. Lot of things that the kabuki is all played by men. But the female role is also played by men. And then that's to be in tradition. And it is kind of okay for Japanese culture to accept gender LGBTQ tradition, but then the law, I don't know about the law too, because I don't know the same-sex marriage was. I think some local, I don't want to speak since it's recorded, I don't want to speak the wrong, information. But I think they're still talking about the same-sex marriage to be legalized as same-sex marriage. So I don't think it's advanced than, any other country, so it's still behind, but then it's not as bad as you think. I think that women's inequality is probably significant than compared to general progress of LGBTQ But I'm not, I could be wrong, so.
Yeah, I think that's very true. The Me Too movement has been significant in Asia as well.
Yeah,
And yeah, so some regions already acknowledged, like Taiwan has a legalized.
did they? Okay.
Yes, gay marriage, but yeah, countries like China or Japan has not said anything. It's kind of don't ask, don't tell type of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But
still,
countries like Russia has basically.
I think it's more political than cultural, because I think the culturally it's accepted, like I'm saying that the role has been existed for a long time. But I think that legally, because then Japanese, has like a man maintaining the family name, and then women is going and marry into that family. So that's the Japanese structure. So if the gender has to be very clear. So,
Could I ask what your topic is for your studies?
So I am from history department.
Yes.
And I grew up and I was born in Russia, northern part of Siberia. So my topic is since I can't go to Russia to do any research because of the war. So I picked a topic that kind of covers both United States and where I'm from. So it's about Arctic expedition from the US from the late 19th century that they were trying to find North Pole to be first to the North Pole. But unfortunately, all things went wrong and they more than half of them died in the region where I'm from.
Oh,
So it's kind of like connects both places for me. I can do a lot of research here, not necessarily going to.
Why do you say you cannot go back because of the war?
Well, I don't have Russian citizenship anymore.
Oh, okay.
And as a US citizen, they say don't go.
Oh, I
Or
see.
you'll be like.
You detained?
Exchange fund for the prison.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
I heard someone donated some money to have
Little
support.
money, yeah, and
Yeah,
they get,
and
get
it's,
in prison.
yeah.
so is it near the Khabarovsk?
Up north.
Up north,
Yeah.
okay, that's where I went to the baseball game is east, side. That's near the end of the Siberian rail track.
Yeah, if you just keep moving up and a bit to the east,
Mhm.
that's where, all the way.
Does anybody play baseball up there? No. No. Yeah.
Is that your next?
Well, yeah, so what happened is that, so the baseball is briefly Olympic sports, but kind of in and out. So I don't think the Russian, I don't think
It
they,
never picked up in the
yeah,
show,
I don't
but-
think they did. Right, so, right now, a lot of people, like Americans and Japanese also send, team to coach in Africa.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of African baseball. But anyway, so if no other questions, then well, any other question about the tea though is we can wrap up our
We have 10 minutes left.
10 minutes left, so we could talk about
And we'll
question
stop.
about the Japanese treats or something maybe, so we'd like to know about you too, so what is your first year in Japanese and what do you want to do? You're talking about the work there, do you want to find a job there?
I'm majoring in creative writing, so I always wanted to be an author.
Oh, okay.
But I might minor in Japanese, I'm really enjoying it. After college, I'd like to do the JET program, where you teach English in Japan. I feel like otherwise, I don't feel like I do anything with my life unless I kind of jump in to somewhere where it's kind of a constant stimulus and being somewhere new and learning stuff.
Yeah, I have a few students went to the JET program and then he never come back, so once you go there and then like the Japanese lifestyle and the food and then all this, stuff. So what is your favorite Japanese food?
I really like rice when it's made well, just plain white rice. I don't know, I never got to really try sushi before,
Oh,
so I don't know if I like sushi or not.
Do you, Mr. Hibachi?
I've been to the steak hibachi.
Yeah.
I get the hibachi steak. The
Yeah.
steak's really good.
They have a rolls too, like
Yeah,
the
they do,
cartoon
yeah.
movies, and they're pretty good.
Should try some.
So when you write, what kind of do you write, nonfiction or fiction?
It changes based on what I'm liking to read at the moment. When I was younger, it was more fantasy, but more recently, I've gotten into a lot of philosophy that I really like, so it's been more introspective and looking at the human nature and our interactions with each other, purpose of life and big things.
Yeah, very good, as a freshman to explore so many big things, that's wonderful.
Good, yeah. Well, since my son is here.
Yes,
What do
would
you-
you like to introduce yourself? I heard so much about you and
My name is Vincent, obviously. Your son, but I'm here in the music production program. Yeah, I'm interested in making music. In terms of like related to Japanese, I'm interested in some like Japanese music, like Nuja Bass, who's one of my inspirations, who's like a Japanese music producer, and it's kind of interesting, like J-pop artists as well, both like current day ones and past, like in the 80s. I like to not only listen to, but also like sample artists in my own work when I make music. So yeah, it's fun to look at Japanese music and stuff. I also played baseball when I was younger, and I helped her out with her baseball team sometimes. So yeah.
how do you feel about having the Japanese heritage and growing up in the US?
I think it's great and good to have a different perspective other than just being American, having both one parent who's grew up American and one parent who grew up in Japan. It's cool to experience two cultures at once at home, and also to try different cuisine and stuff, like a lot of stuff you made when I was growing up for dinner and stuff, like
Yeah, what was your?
curry rice, definitely. Like pork katsudon. Yeah.
Making my mouth
it's
watery.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also learned how to make some of those things, which is good that I can take that into the future. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, so definitely the tea is the other thing that I make a tea at home all the time. I like coffee too.
Yes.
But definitely Americans are traditionally the coffee culture, and it's getting better though, but because young millennials and Gen Z, Gen Y people are start drinking more tea than previous generations. But of course, at home, as a Japanese, I make a lot of green tea, or sometimes the hojicha tea, the brown tea. So just like things to drink at home, things to eat at home, things to snack at home are definitely different from just American straight up, family. So Yeah, so curious, so why do you look like you're American? Your parents are American,
Yeah.
So, what makes you think that you wanna learn Japanese? You know, that would be kind of curious question.
I started with my mother, who was always like reading like history stuff, especially ancient like royal families, which included Chinese dynasties in
Oh,
Japan.
wow.
So like I've read Imperial Woman by Pearl S. Buck. That was one of her favorites. She was always watching documentaries, so I kind of like always had that at the back of my mind. And then recently, one of my friends in high school watched anime. So I watched a show, and I watched another, and I started reading things, different manga, different books. And it was just interesting. I only heard about the JET program this summer, and like sometimes, especially with such a shaky career choice as going to be an author, that might not work out. It'd be nice to have something more solid, especially right after graduating. So I heard about that and I'm like, okay, that can give me experience, that can give me money, that can give me just some purpose to keep going.
Have you heard about careers in the federal government? Do you need people who know languages?
Work for, US government? Really, yeah. Yeah, I thought about, working for like a CIA or something like that, but you have to be US citizen, I think. So,
Which
I
are qualified.
yeah, I could choose, but I haven't. So that's the other thing, well, immigration is kind of tricky, you know, it's just how you feel about it, and then that's more like a legal part of being a foreign, you know, person. But, I am Japanese, I have a Japanese passport, so,
You're active politically here too.
yeah, so. Yeah, but I can't run for president, so. So that'll give you guys a different choice than what you have, but unfortunately I can't. Yeah, so
We're at 5.
okay, so so thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you for coming.
So this is, like I said, our first experiment and see how this dialogue will be kind of interest the people. So if you have any idea of, for example, what we should include, like for 3 o'clock on Wednesday is just the middle of the workday that people may not come. Well, but you guys are clearly came, so appreciate that, but a lot of things that we said no to our invitation are like they're either in class or working. And
I
also,
personally like that it's Wednesday because so many things are Tuesday and Thursdays.
oh,
It's okay, yeah, it's like everything is Tuesday, Thursdays for some reason. So Wednesday, I think it's a good day, but maybe a little late, I don't know. For me, just walk between, you know, things like to,
it'll be better to do it later.
this I'm not sure, but I would say better advertise it. There are WhatsApp groups for international students. Since I'm not international per se anymore, because I don't have Russian citizenship, but I somehow got into this group and I see a lot of them exchanging like events. People post a lot of events in that
Yeah.
group, and it's a big group.
So maybe it worked for some people, but it may not work for some people, so we could explore, maybe do it more like a nighttime, you know, sure. But then, I don't know, faculty go home after, so maybe.
There's also a local group, Athens Asian American Alliance. I'm not sure if you guys heard about this group.
But isn't that something that you?
Yeah, it's AAPI, so Asian.
Pacific Island
Pacific, yeah.
student group, right? Something.
Yeah.
But there is a community group, Athens Asian American Alliance, AAAA. So, and they do a lot of events. I think this will fit perfectly with
Okay.
stay aligned.
we can just look into be, like, doing that.
I can give you the contact person.
Oh, sure, yeah, that would be great.
I really like how because tea ceremony is so traditional, right? And then your story is kind of disruptive, right? But it's still Asian, all of it is Asian. And I really like that kind of.
Oh, thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you for the
Yeah.
feedback.
Yeah, thanks for feedback. We just try to do something, it's a cultural event, but just a little bit beyond, more critical.
Or it's gonna experience people's Asians.
It's not just having a good, Asian.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have you as part of the community too, as a Eurasian, I mean.
Where are
I'm
you?
not sure what I can talk, but I also like how you two exchange about tea ceremony. Because you can see two Asian cultures, but there are similarities, but there are also differences. So it kind of makes people think. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, so there will be always a tea, so something about the tea, and then with the tea, we'll discuss something. And then, so feel free to, do you guys have our information? Should we, yeah, I have card. Okay, but, feel free to, tell me the topics that you might wanna come next, and then see.
Yeah, but you can keep the same thing with the large.
Same thing with
this large.
Yeah, we had supposed to have 12 people coming, right? We got we sold, technically sold the tickets for 8 people, and then.
Somebody give you the contact, that's person from A.
Yeah, you'd like to, that would be great. Well, we might send out some, survey or something. Should we have extra candies? Did you have? You have 3. Well, would you like to take some home?
I like the tea.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's a flavor that I'm not used to. I think Japanese teas and.
Yes.
Yeah,
really good. It's,
I really enjoyed this. I think there's a lot of people that are curious about other cultures, which are kind of afraid to ask. People are afraid to offend, but I love learning about people.
Yeah, so tell your classmates, and next time, you can bring them, so.
yeah, maybe, I don't know, writers can do amazing things. I think you can do so many wonderful things with the world with you. I'm just very excited.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very
My
much.
advisor is also from Siberia. She's from the Altai region. Altai Mountain. My advisor, my PhD advisor. She's a faculty member in another institution.
So she's
from Russia. Yeah, and
Maybe she knows.
I've done to speak that.
is she is in Russia or is in?
She's ethnic Russian. I think so.
She's more like an Altai. This is
She's
actually.
an Altai, yeah.
Maybe we can send a little,
Indigenous.
Alliance.
You could.
Yeah, but she's from Russia.
Everything I just.
Yeah.
You just calligraphies.
This is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's what you're.
So we'll be talking about this, so maybe next time I will do, she can do this again.
You can't do Saturday.
Well, no, Karen.
We talked about it, but
My
then.
mom's.
That's
my
the
practice.
Me back.
But we talk about we can do it at home video. But it's still not the same.
Meet at the Fukuzawa house. Look at this little pea.
But they're glad that.
You missed that, she does.
Yeah, they are
So
close.
it was fascinating,
But it's
she
still- it's
bought
still hard.
4 things,
Must be-
but then this is like a place that.
Are you
underneath
almost
the couches or this.
No, I'm just basically just
Every.
I'm setting.
But you have a job.
Yeah, we recorded, so.
I walked people, so you can change, so, and it's still do that job. What about archery?
Yeah, I love that.
Well, you probably see each other, so this group A,
Or-
you should get measured, because they're doing a lot of stuff, I didn't know, you feet, right?
All right, good. Sounds good. Well, thank you. Спасибо.
Спасибо, пожалуйста, очень приятно. I don't know what to say. That's Italian. I know that. Are you still recording?
No,
Why is it looking at?
Cause it's recording.
Oh, it is, oh my gosh, we have everything recorded. No secrets.
I know.
Focus is on.
Yeah, cause it's so smart,
They just target the most popular person.
So good that we have this